The Nez Perce Indians are original people of Idaho, Oregon, and Washington State. Most Nez Perce people live in Idaho today. They roam between the Blue Mountains in Oregon and the Bitterroot Mountains in Idaho, and according to Lewis and Clark, sometimes cross the range to the headwaters of Missouri. By certain writers, they have been classed under two geographic divisions, Upper Nez Perce and Lower Nez Perce. They later were found by Bonneville in 1834 to the north and west of the Blue Mountains on several of the branches of Snake River, where they were neighbors of the Cayuse and Walla Walla. The reservation in which they were confined at the time included the Walla Walla Valley in Oregon, as well as a large district in Idaho. With the discovery of gold and conquest influx of miners and settlers, the Oregon districts were in demand, and the new treaty was made by which the tribe was confined to the reservation of Lapwai, Idaho, where most of the Nez Perce live today. At the time of Lewis and Clark's visit, they are reported as living in communal houses, said to contain about 50 families each. There is evidence, however, that the Nez Perce used a typical underground lodge, and that these seldom contained more than 3 or 4 families. A much larger dancing house was built at each permanent winter camp. Salmon consisted their most important food in the early times, and with root and berries made up their entire food supply until the introduction of horse-facilitated hunting expeditions to the neighboring mountains. The tribe seems to have been divided into a number of bands or villages, named according to the place where the permanent winter camp was made. The Nez Perce did not make pottery. The women did, however, weave exquisite baskets, which they used for cooking by placing heated stones in them, and for gathering wild plants. They also wove soft bags of marsh plants with intricate designs in making their clothes. The Nez Perce used cedar bark, deerskin, and rabbit skin. The women were famous for their basket hats, which they wove out of dry leaves. In 1877, Chief Joseph and his tribe were ordered to move to a reservation. 4 of Chief Joseph's brave killed 16 white settlers, and when the army began to take their possessions as retaliation, the Nez Perce refused to move to the reservation due to this contract breach. The only road choice they had was to try and get to Canada and enlist the aid of Chief Sitting Bull. After 1,300 miles, 4 battles, and a brilliant display of bravery, in which Toho Lazuti's 25 men pinned down Howard's 500, the Nez Perce were captured and defeated at Bear Paw Mountain. When surrendering, Chief Joseph coined a famous quote, "From where the sun now stands, I will fight." 1805, contact between the Nez Perce and Lewis Clark expedition. 1855, Nez Perce reservation established by treaty. 1863, June 9th, treaty, known as Three Treaty, was signed at Lapwai Valley, Washington Territory. 1868, Father Joseph Cadado's first Catholic missionary efforts among Nez Perce. 1877, the Nez Perce War led by Chief Joseph occurred. 1878, the part of the tribe followed Chief Joseph was sent to Territory in Oklahoma. This is how the tribe was spread out, giving change to the land and territory of the tribe. The most important person was Chief Joseph, who affected where and how the people of Nez Perce live today, since he led the tribe to war. The most important event was the Nez Perce War, an attempt to keep their land, but were unsuccessful and had to surrender because the Nez Perce people were sick and starving. So they surrendered and settled on a reservation in Lapwai, Idaho, where most of the Nez Perce still live today. They are a thriving tribe, and some still even use the ancient language.